The workshop on transformational learning and student leadership was an initiative which was a discussion between the three institutions, GFAR, RUFORUM, and University of Nairobi. It was purposed to take place from 26th to 29th of September at the University of Nairobi. And participants arrived on 25th, and the program started on 26th in the evening. The whole idea about this, we were trying to look at the current curriculum. Is it the relevant one to produce the competent student or market-ready student for jobs or even entrepreneurship? And indeed, those of us who are from the university, we do realize there's a challenge. The challenge which we know exists is the fact that the young students we are training are not quite taking up the opportunities in agriculture sector. And so as we continue to deal with the challenge of food and nutrition security, in the midst of that, we have trained students or trained graduates who somehow don't have a job fit or are not able to fit and take up the relevant opportunities available. So this workshop was to look at how can we build up the relevant graduate profile, and then we look at what are the elements missing which can be able to give us the right graduate with the right competencies, the right knowledge, the right skills to be able to do what they expected as either employees or entrepreneurs in agriculture sector. And it's our hope that the time we have spent here 4 days with the different stakeholders drawn from the different levels, that is from the students, representation, farmer, private sector, regional organizations, universities. At the regional level, we had RUFORUM, and at the global level, we had GFAR, and so we had participants drawn from the continent of Africa, as well as colleagues who came from outside the continent. The team got really engaged because we are looking at real challenges ailing our agriculture sector. The commitment, the energy which was exhibited during the 4 days workshop was amazing. And at the end of it, we've come out with outputs which we have agreed on how we shall be able to move them forward. It is my hope, as someone who is a professor in the University of Nairobi, that indeed we shall come out with a program which we can be able to start implementing at our various universities so that we can produce the relevant graduate who will be able to serve us now and into the future for our agricultural development. And in the end, our hope is we shall be able, Africa shall be able to feed herself through such initiative. But what I would like to emphasize, partnership. Partnership is so key, as no one organization can be able to deliver. And also I would like to appreciate those who came from development area. The development partners were indeed very crucial in this process as we start the dialogue. And it's my hope that all those people, as we described this workshop, is a gathering of those who are committed indeed to move this process forward, or in short, a gathering of those who care. I believe there are so many outside there who care and can be able to join this wonderful platform so that Africa can achieve food and nutrition security.
I'm Mark Holderness. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Global Forum on Agriculture Research and Innovation, GFAR. And this meeting has been organised through GFAR, through the partners in GFAR, from the universities, from the public and private sectors, the farming communities. And what's really held us together, brought us together, is the need for change and the need to really transform the sorts of education and learning processes that our young people are going through and need to go through for the future. So there we've been really working fantastically together. We've come out with some tremendous ideas of what really needs to change in our educational systems to transform the learning experience and bring forward student leaders who will be the leaders of agriculture for the future. And we have to do this. Agriculture is under threat. We're seeing young people move away in droves, go to the cities instead of finding a viable and vibrant career in agriculture itself. And what we're doing here is helping that process to happen, getting people's ideas together, inspiring each other with the energy and the enthusiasm for change and what we can generate through our actions working together. And in doing that, we've come through to some very solid ideas, some ways in which platforms can be generated at country level that bring together different partners. So the universities are no longer isolated from society, but they're embedded in society. And the farmers have been very much a part of this process, because at the end of the day, all the research, all the extension work, all the learning that goes on in universities feeds the farmers, and the farmers feed us. And this is the process. How do we get knowledge to generate more effectively by the combined innovation of farmers, of researchers, of students, as students learning from farmers, farmers learning from students. These are processes that need to happen. We need to break down the walls of the universities, open the system out, so that young people are inspired, are trained, are learning a whole holistic range of skills for their personal development, for their future, and as the leaders and knowledge generators and knowledge sharers of the future. That's how agriculture will have a future. That's how we will continue to feed humanity. So it's been a tremendous experience, and we have a range of champions identified who really want to take these processes forward. Let's go and do it. Thank you.
The Regional Universities Forum for Capacity Building in Agriculture is a network organization of 66 universities in 26 African countries. RUFORUM is basically was established with an understanding that transformation in Africa requires innovative solutions that drive agricultural development. And with that, the universities being at the center of technology development and technology generation, but also providing opportunity for forward technology transmission to rural communities. The idea was really moving the universities out of the university to the community and bringing the community towards the universities and working together as partners, but also engaging the broader spectrum of actors that are active within the agricultural space in Africa.
I am Iman El-Kaffass. I am a consultant in capacity development and organizational development, especially focused on education and universities. I am the special advisor for GFAR in capacity development. This has been an initiative of GFAR actually with our partners with the universities. And the universities have expressed the interest in reforming, as a matter of fact, in transforming to meet the global and regional and local needs of the community and to integrate more with the community and to almost produce and graduates who serve the purposes of the future and who fit in the future. So this initiative for 3 days now in the University of Nairobi has gathered together the university, but also the private sector, the farmers, the youth, the NGOs, international organizations, different aspects with GFAR and RUFORUM and the University of Nairobi, hosting this big event, as a matter of fact, to discuss together where to go from where we are to where we want to be. And where we want to be was the image that we painted really physically painted of what is the graduate that we want. A graduate that actually integrates in the society, that works in development, that does research, that can communicate. A graduate that is developed professionally, but also as a citizen of the world, physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, you know, that can integrate in the whole, as we said, development of the whole world. From this image, you know, of the graduate, we went into how the university can provide this learning experience, which is not the teaching experience anymore. So we differentiated between learning environment and teaching environment. Learning is, there are so many learning tools, and that's why the university needed to review the learning tools that they provide with the students, have open classrooms, open to the world, have universities without walls, integrate with the private sector, provide experience for the student there, provide experience with the student with the farmers, provide experience with the students with the NGOs, internships, all kind of learning as you go. It's a living learning environment within the university that provide the student with all these skills. We developed a platform for that. We developed a concept note. We are gonna start right away with the implementation. We have coordinators, we have a structure, we have content, we are ready to go. We have the students on board, we have everyone on board, and we are asking for everyone's celebration and collaboration in this big initiative on transformational learning and student leadership development, developing the leaders of the future, those who are going to make our world better and integrate with all the sectors in the society with innovation, with love, with care, with empathy, with great knowledge actually and expertise, but also with great humanitarian values, ethics, and love of the world. And let's do all of this together. Thank you.
This last 3 days have been very productive. 3 days in my over 3 decades of participating in tertiary education in Nigeria. I think the workshop was arranged for the purpose of improving higher education in Africa, and particularly with producing competent and as well as ethical graduates that have the capacity and have the skill to address various issues that face them upon graduation. And I think what we've done here, we've brainstormed, haven't had a wonderful facilitator. We brainstormed over these 3 days, and all the effort has culminated in the issues that will go into the concept notes, and with the hope that we will be able to find stakeholders that will participate, that will be interested in coming to the platform to improve quality education in Africa. I'm convinced that given the very robust concept note that will be developed, I'm very convinced that we'll find donors, we'll find stakeholders, we'll find community partners that will be able to participate on the platform. And I'm very convinced that should this happen, university education as it is known today in Africa will be radically transformed.
Good afternoon, my name is Maggie Linington. I'm from the University of South Africa, and I've been involved in this workshop on transformative learning and student development, and I've been so pleasantly surprised by the process we have followed. The subject itself, transformative learning, instead of transformation of the curriculum, it was really a refreshing way of looking at how do we change what we do for the best. The process was especially rewarding because we didn't get bogged down on where we are, but rather said, well, in a transformed society in 30 years, which will look very different, what will our student do? If they're going to do that, what do they need to know? And if they need to know that, how are we going to teach them differently? And what should we be adding to our curriculum? And what do we need to do to enable that process? Which I thought freed us from our current constraints, it freed us from our current mindsets and barriers, and it allowed us to actually think quite creatively about what actually needs to be done. The interesting part about going from a process from the to be as is instead of from the as is to be is that it really does make you realize how large the gaps we have to address are, which can be quite daunting. So it's very clear that this is a long-term process, but is something that if you're committed to, you will make the change. I've enjoyed the organization, I've enjoyed the people I've met here. I think the mix of people and the choice of people to be here was superb. The students added a huge voice, which always needs to be heard, and the farmers who were here were also of really alternative thinking, which expands the way we look at things because we see it from someone else's perspective. Thank you.
It's with great pleasure I have attended this workshop about transformative learning and student development, student leadership development. Firstly, I would like to thank the University of Nairobi and GFAR for the invitation and for the very well prepared workshop. Although this workshop concentrates on the agriculture sector, still the outcome which came out of it, I think it can be applied to most sectors in the society. I hope that taking this outcome forward in the future will make the education in universities and the cooperation between universities and the society much more deeper. Again, thank you very much for being here and good luck in the future.
I'm happy to have been in this process where we have discussed in the last 3 days about curriculum review for graduate students so that we can then have leaders in future who will be able to be competent, who will be able to be professional, who will be able to deliver when they come to industry in the private sector where we play a role. The curriculum review for transformational leadership and development of better skills from students when they join university until when they leave is very important. There is need to have students who can then be able to be absorbed into the industry and deliver innovative ideas from what they have learned. It's important for universities to embrace private sector, especially during the training. My suggestion could be that at some point it's important to have guest speakers, guest lecturers from private sector. And also as industry we are willing and ready to provide space in terms of student attachment, internships, so that students who are, especially undergraduates, can actually learn the skills and the practice of production, especially in agronomy, economics, veterinary sciences, or any other that is important, especially now in sub-Saharan Africa, where we intend to boost our production for purpose of food security and also for enhanced foreign exchange. It's important that the learning institutions, the higher institutions, are able to come together to have a forum like this to discuss how we can review curriculum that will achieve the aspirations of private sector within the continent.
For me, this workshop here has been really beneficial because I've learned so many different things, and also the holistic approach of how we can help the students come up with the transformational learning, and at the same time they be relevant to the communities and maybe to other stakeholders, so that they can get at least jobs in future as they study. The process here has been good. The facilitation actually took us through the process and were able to come up with the many things that need to be done in order to achieve the transformational learning. Looking at my side as a farmer, I am really appreciating what is happening, because some time back we find that universities sometimes they have been on their own and the communities on their own, so it's been a very big missing gap. And yet in later times, after the students have studied and graduated, they are yet to come to the communities to look for jobs, either to connect with the communities, and it has been a missing link and it's been a problem. So with this kind of a holistic approach, it means that all of us as stakeholders will come together to design and to work together and network and see how best we can come up with the graduates who will be of use to themselves and also to other communities and maybe to private sector along. So I'm really very grateful to have been here in Nairobi, and especially in the University of Nairobi, and having seen how actually the university is struggling to teach and to come up with the future of the young people, especially those who are actually in higher learning institutions.
I'm from Nigeria, a student of University of Harcourt and the student union president of the said institution. First and foremost, I want to thank the organizers of this program, the GFAR, RUFORUM, and the University of Nairobi for coming up with this workshop that has to do with transformational and leadership development. I want to speak from the students' perspective that we've come here, a lot of input and contributions have been made, and if those things are put into practice, more especially as it has to do with effecting some changes in the curriculum and coming up with a quality practical. If those things are put into practice, I want to assure you that we'll have graduates that are ready to compete favorably in the labor market. So I want to equally thank everybody who came from their respective country to participate in this workshop, made useful contributions. So thank you very much.
The three-day hard work and the issue of hard thinking and smart thinking to really come out with the transformational learning and student leadership development has really been impactful to us as students. And I can say that I would wish to first thank the organizers of the event, that is RUFORUM, GFAR, and the University of Nairobi, with the partnership of the private sector and all the other stakeholders that were involved, including farmers. So I want to say that from a student point of view, we were able to see that a really transformed society will need a student who is worthy to really compete into the dynamic society, and we were able to figure out a few issues. And one of them is that the institutions of higher learning have not been able to produce market-ready graduates, and the reason is because their systems are not able to cope with the fast-changing society. And so we were able to come up with a few conclusions and really agreements. And one of them is that a student who will really compete with all the relevant skills in the market will require not much of the theory in class, but will require much of the practical work in the field. And this one has come out in the topic of the experiential learning that was widely discussed and agreed that the systems in universities will be revised to cope with the fast-growing dynamics of the society. And again, we were able to see that if this program continues, and the students really who are left behind will continue to be incorporated in these programs, in these forums. They will really be impactful because they have been the pioneers of this event, and they will continue to really build on it.
My name is Fode Beaudet. I'm a Senior Learning Advisor for the Center for Intercultural Learning, which is part of Global Affairs Canada. I was a privilege and honor to be a facilitator for this workshop this week. And I have to say that it is with a lot of humility that I engage in this process, because it was so rich in learning. And one of the key aspects that made it a learning experience is really with the collaboration of GFAR, RUFORUM, and the University of Nairobi, is the question that was being asked here was not necessarily only how we improve the way the systems work, but how do we actually transform the system in higher education through transformational learning. And that opens up a lot of possibility for really engaging with other in participatory processes. And this is one of the things that I find that validated the importance of providing spaces for people to be engaged in the design of the change that they want to see. And that's what was that's what it was about. It was providing the opportunity for the different voices from different organizations, from the different sectors of the community to really come together and create something that might not have ever thought about before, because it was doing about something different than the usual things that we do. So that was a key learning for me, is the importance of reinforcing any opportunity to engage people in participatory process in which the output, what we want to come out, we won't know until we work together, we struggle together, and then we find ways to collectively work towards common goal. That's what made it a great experience for me this week. And again, it was an honor to participate and join this collaboration. Thank you.